Are you wanting to increase your mobility? So you jump on social media to find different stretches and things that can help, but you see someone who posts videos like this that say, this is not mobility, this is mobility. But then you see another guy who says, actually, this is not mobility, but this is mobility. It can be a really confusing place, and a lot of times people get stuck in analysis paralysis. We don't actually do anything because I don't know which one I'm supposed to trust. And the truth is, stretching is mobility. In-range loading is mobility. Strength work is mobility. All of these things can be beneficial, and blending these worlds together is probably the best of all three worlds. So let's take a look at how we can do that. So let's say for you that you want to improve your squat, but you just feel tight in the hips all the time. One of the most common things that people have tried, it's really the lowest barrier of entry and most people have heard of, is stretching. Now, the problem with stretching sometimes is that, let's say that I get into this position, I feel a stretch, crank a little bit further, and I hold my breath, and I go for like 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. My hip doesn't really feel any better, so I guess stretching doesn't work, right? What we need to do is, one, we have to spend more time in this position. Now, there are going to be people who are more mobile than others, and really mobility is a sliding scale. There is no, this is the right thing for everyone. It all depends on you, but blending the worlds can be helpful for anyone. So what we want to do, for most people when it comes to stretching, I like you to do 2 minutes in one position. So if I'm going to stretch my hip here, what I want to do is I want to lean into the stretch to where I feel a decent stretch, but I don't have to hold my breath to stay here. I can just hang out, breathe, relax into it. And another thing that I see a lot with stretching is that people are squirming. You find the stretch, oh, there it is, and then I squirm to get away from it. I squirm to get away from it. You're not actually stretching. Find that stretch position where you feel it and stay there. Now, let's say I get to a minute and a half, and I feel that like, ooh, it just let go. This feels great. I can go a little further into the stretch, and that's totally fine. But I don't want you to squirm and get away from it. We want to actually stay in the stretch because that's going to be the most beneficial. When we get done with the stretch, then we're going to build our way into end range loading. So let's take a look at that. So I've done 2 minutes of stretching on each side of my hips. They're feeling pretty good. Now we're going to add in some end range loading. There's a million different ways we can do this, but when it comes to a squat, I want to make sure that your hips are able to internally and externally rotate really well. So that's what I'm going to show today. Now, I like to use a little slider to put my knee on, and from here, we're going to work that hip all the way into external rotation. Find that end range, try to get a little deeper if you can, and internal rotation. What I don't want with this is to crank our low back or move around as we're doing this. All of the range needs to be coming from that hip. We're going to find the end range, fight into it, find this end range, fight into it. And we're going to go back and forth for probably 10 or so reps, really focusing on keeping ourselves in this position, not letting the range come from somewhere else. We want it to come only from the hip and just work back and forth, finding those end ranges. And once we've done that on both sides, we're going to move into some strength work. We're going to actually load this thing a little bit. All right, so we've done the stretching, we've done the end range loading. Now we need to work into that pattern and add some strength to it. If we want to squat, the best way to get better at squatting is to squat. Now, one thing that I like to do in the beginning, if this position is hard for you, is we use a little bit of weight to offload. We're going to press it out as we squat, and that's going to help with some balance and help with a little bit of the range of motion that we need. And we're just going to work on the positioning here. Squat as low as we comfortably can. This offset weight is going to help us get a little bit deeper. Come back up, and you're going to knock some reps out here. Maybe we go 10 reps of this with a lighter weight, just getting comfortable in that lower position. And then we can move into our actual exercise. So if you're doing back squat or front squat or anything like that, your hips should feel a lot better now. So when it comes down to it, all of these things are good. You just want to use them sequentially and build on one another, right? We don't have to pick one certain thing to do. We can actually use all of it and we're going to get more benefits from it. So when it comes down to it, Instagram charlatans are always going to say that their way is the best, but the fact that you're moving at all is what's really important. And so I think that if we can blend these worlds together, you're going to be better off than if you're just finding the one thing and following the one guy, and I don't know if he's right or she's right or this is right. Do what feels good to you, and if you're seeing progress, we're happy, right? Getting you off the couch is the number one goal. So if anybody has any questions about, where you're at as far as mobility or how you can tweak things or make things better or how do we add all of these together, feel free to shoot me a message and we can work on a plan for you today.